Class 11, Chapter 5, Morphology of Flowering Plant. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperms show such a large diversity in external structure or morphology, they are all characterized by presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. In this chapter 2 and 3, we talk about classification of plants based on morphology and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification, at understanding and any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definition. We also need to know about the possible variation in different parts found as adaptation of plants to their environment. Example, adaptation to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems, and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground parts of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. The root. In majority of dicotyledonous plant, the direct elongation of radicle leads to the formation of primary root, which grow inside the root. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the taproot system as seen in the mustard plant. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system, as in the wheat plant. In some plants like grass, monstera and banyan tree, root arises from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious root. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulator. The region of the root. Root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of these regions are very small, thin-walled and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to region of elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portions between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts waters, minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function and of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. The leaf. Leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into branch. Leaves originate from the shoot apical meristem and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are most important vegetative organ for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf, base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf base is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures called stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering with the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf base. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as channels of transport of water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of veins and the veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel venation. Leaves of the dicotyledonous plants generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of most monocotyledons. Types of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised the incision do not touch the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on the common axis, the branches, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. The palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached at the common point, that is at the tip of the petiole, as in the silk cotton. Now, phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually the three types: alternate, opposite, and whole. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node and in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. In opposite type of, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in Calotropis and Guava plant. If more than two leaves arises at the node and form a whole, it is called whole, as in Alstonia. The inflorescence. A flower is modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes into floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and axis get condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence, depending on whether the apex get developed into a flower or continue to grow. Two major types of inflorescence are defined: racemose or cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kinds of holes arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicels, called thalamus or receptacles. These are calyx, corolla, endoecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while endoecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily and calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When a flower has both endoecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only one stamen or only carpel is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, radial symmetry, or zygomorphic bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example: mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphy. That example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric irregular if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in kenna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4, or 5 respectively. Flowers with bract reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are called bracteate, and those without bracts ebracteate. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, and endoecium in respect of ovary or thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. In the hypogynous flower, the the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. Ovary in such flowers is said to be superior. Example: mustard, china rose, and brinjal. In gynoecium is situated if gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior. Example: plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in the flowers of guava and cucumber, and the ray floret of sunflower. Now, parts of the flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral hole: calyx, corolla, endoecium, and gynoecium. Now, calyx. The calyx is the outermost hole of the flower, and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like, and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepals united, or polysepalous, sepals free. Corolla is composed of petal. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insect for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be gamopetalous, petal united, and or polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell shaped, funnel shaped, or wheel shaped. Estivation, the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in floral bud with respect to other members of the same whole, is known as estivation. The main types of estivation are valvate, twisted, and imbricate. And vexillary. When sepals or petals in a whole just touch one another at margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, is said to be valvate. If one margin of the appendages overlaps that of the next one, and so on, as in china rose, ladyfinger, and cotton, it is said to be twisted. If margin of sepals and petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in cassia and glomar, the estivation is said to be imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are 5 petals. The largest overlaps the 2 lateral petals, wings, which in turn overlap 2 smallest anterior petals, keel. This type of estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous. Now, endoecium. Endoecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represents the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed, and each lobe has 2 chambers. The pollen sacs, the pollen grains are produced in pollen sacs. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Stamen of flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous, as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth, as in the flower of lily. The stamens in a flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monoadelphous, as in china rose, or 2 bundles, diadelphous, as in pea, or into more than 2 bundles, polyadelphous, as in citrus. There may be variation in length of filaments within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube. The style connects to the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface for pollen grain. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free, as in lotus or rose, and are called apocarpus, and the term as syncarpus when carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovule develops into seed and ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. In marginal, placentation of the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary, and the ovules are born on this ridge, forming two rows as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develops on inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part. Ovary is one-chambered, but it becomes two-chambered due to the formation of false septum. Example: mustard and argemone. When the ovules are borne on the central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and single ovule is attached to it, as in the sunflower, marigold. The fruit. Fruit is characteristic feature of the flowering plant. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consisting of a wall or pericarp and seed. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into the outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as drupe. They develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, the fleshy edible middle mesocarp, and inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed. The ovules are, after fertilization, developed into seed. A seed is made up of a seed coat and embryo. Embryo is made up of a radical and embryonal axis and one, as in wheat and maize, or two cotyledons, as in gram and pea. A structure of dicotyledonous seed. The outermost covering of seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and inner tegumen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seed were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo, consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and plumules. In some seeds, such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization. It is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seed. In plants such as bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seeds, and such seeds are called non-endospermous. Structure of monocotyledonous seed. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called aleurone layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledons known as scutellum and a short axis with plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheaths which are called coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. The description has to be brief in some simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habitat, vegetative characters, root, stem, and leaves, and then floral characters, inflorescence, and flower parts. After describing various parts of the plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbols. In the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C stands for corolla, and P stands for perianth, and A stands for endoecium, and G stands for gynoecium. G this is for superior and G for inferior. Symbol for male, female, and for bisexual plant, and for plus symbol for actinomorphic, and then percentage for zygomorphic nature of flower. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within bracket and adhesion by a line drawn above the symbol of the floral parts. And a floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement and relation they have with the one another. The position of the mother axis with the respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, endoecium, and gynoecium are drawn in successive whole, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being the center. Floral formula as shown cohesion and adhesion within parts of the whole and between the whole. The floral diagram and floral formula in figure represents the mustard plant. Family Brassicaceae. Solanaceae. It is large family commonly as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics, and even temperate zone. Vegetative characters. Plant mostly herbs, shrubs, and rarely small trees. Stems herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem in potato. Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, venation, reticulate. Floral characters, and these are the some information about the inflorescence: solitary, axillary or cymose in a solanum. Flower bisexual, actinomorphic, calyx sepal 5, united, persistent, velvet estivation, and corolla petals 5, united, velvet estivation. Endoecium stamens 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium bicarpellary, obligate placed, syncarpous, ovary superior, bilocular, placenta swollen with many ovules. Exile. Fruits, berry or capsule. Seeds, many endospermous. Floral formula given here. Economic importance: many plants belonging to this family are the source of food: tomato, brinjal, potato, spice, chili, medicines, belladonna, ashwagandha, fumigatory, tobacco, ornamentals, petunia. So that's it. Thank you so much.